Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brenton Grant with Metaphysical Love Conscience. Here to do my third video, which is going to be about the crystal children. Less is known about them than the indigos. They're certainly more enigmatic, but their energy is powerful and their presence can be sensed. Give you some quick basics. The crystal children are the second wave of star children to arrive on Earth following the indigos. Most believe, including myself, that they started incarnating around 2000 to 2003, although some may have been born as early as 1990. These are usually called scouts. They're part of the wave that comes earlier than most of the others. There's certain things that we don't have enough understanding of to get into about the crystal children. With the indigos, I got into the waves or generations of indigos. We are just at the end of our first generation of crystals, and there's not much that we can tell yet about the other generations. So, in my opinion, crystal children are more affiliated with Neptune and Pisces, as well as a definite Libra component, while indigo children are more associated with Uranus and Aquarius with a strong Aries component. They're definitely more sensitive and psychically gifted than indigo children, who are themselves often very psychically gifted and spiritual. This can go to an extreme, because they are often oversensitive to the spiritual world, to the feelings of others. They're highly empathic, but raising crystal children and being a crystal child can certainly be very difficult. Indigo children, I'm going to try not to touch on them too much, but it is going to be necessary because they are really necessary to contrast the qualities of crystal children, because they both serve two parts of three-part system. So basically, indigo children are trailblazers. They have a warrior spirit. They're very rebellious, highly creative, also very sensitive, but they tend to react more aggressively. Crystal children are much less aggressive and tend to be very peaceful. They are, however, very shy and quiet and can be very easily made panicked or upset. The indigo fulfills the role of the spiritual revolutionary, while the crystal child is more of a spiritual healer. While indigos are usually very loud and excitable and very communicative, crystal children are really much quieter, much less social than indigos. There is a third wave called the rainbow children. I'm not going to do a video on them, and I'm not going to get into them too much in this video. But basically, they're more affiliated with Scorpio and Pluto. And the indigos, the first wave, are here to tear down the walls. The crystal children, or the second wave, are here to not so much rebuild the walls, but to show us that the walls were never really there and they never actually served a purpose. Freedom is very important to both generations. Crystal children are, however, going to be rebuilding the values and the structures of society that the indigos have torn down. And the third generation, the rainbow children, are the most we know about them is that they're going to be the rulers of the rebuilt society, and they're going to usher in the real beginning of the age of Aquarius, which has already begun and is already in motion, but we're still in that transient phase. Okay, so crystal children, like indigos, tend to be very artistic, and Indigos are more rebellious and communicative with their creativity. A good example would be like punk rock or graffiti. Bob Marley is like the original Indigo child. Get up, stand up kind of shit. Um, and The Crystal Children are artistic in that they have a great understanding of beauty, emotion, and aesthetics. So, as you know, opposed to the more radical art that the Indigos prefer, the Crystal Children are more interested in things like scenes of nature, depictions of spirituality and human suffering, as well as human healing. And facilitating this creativity in the young crystal child will be very helpful for their development. Um, that's just part of this because the crystal children are usually very young. Um, sorry. This is partially for parents as well as crystals. And unfortunately, this is how a lot of videos about indigo children are, which is absolutely absurd because very few indigo children are actual children. Um, Children refers to more of like the birthing on Earth and being born from elsewhere, you know? Um, a lot of people believe that this same progression happened at the turn of the age of Aries to the age of Pisces. And many believed that, people like Jesus, Buddha, were either crystal or rainbow children. Um, so, anyways, one of the major phenomenon with these waves of children is misdiagnosis with mental disorders or emotional disorders. Or indigo children, it's mostly ADHD, maybe some bipolar in there. With the crystal children, this is much more on the autism or Asperger's scale. And this is mostly due to the extreme sensitivity they have to their environment, difficulty they have functioning in a traditional or, like Piscean setting. And this is partially because they are more evolved than humans on Earth at this time. However, treatment, just like ADHD treatment for indigo children, doesn't work and tends to quiet the inner light of the indigos. The real way to tell the difference between ordinary autism and crystal children is by basically observing. Autistic children tend to really struggle with expressing emotions and expressing love. They I don't want to say they tend to be egocentric, but they tend to have difficulty in social relations. Crystal children are like an embodiment of love, and they will share love and healing and emotional kindness with anybody who needs it. But their extreme sensitivity to their environment and to spiritual energies and to other people's emotions and intentions can cause them to have a similar kind of like panic or meltdown to autistic children. This really, like, they will also not respond as well to traditional treatment as, actual autistic children. So what's important to note about crystals for helping them to adjust to society is that they need kindness and love. Because of their extreme empathy, they're very vulnerable to the moods of others and take things very personally. They may cry a lot, they may need solitude and quiet. It is important that they have a safe space. Usually a bedroom or whatever. Even in some extreme cases, like a closet can be helpful. Also, just as with indigos and spiritually gifted people throughout history, nature can be a very safe and harmonious place for the crystal children. The energy in nature is much less chaotic and confusing, and due to their empathy, they will absorb that and feel harmony, spiritual acceleration, and a deep connection with their artistic selves. This is true for indigos as well. We are, for us, it's more about calming that aggressive and disruptive nature that a lot of us tend to have. So it's notable that crystal children physically appear to be very beautiful. They have even bigger and brighter eyes than the indigo children, who were originally spotted for big, often bright colored eyes. You can also spot them, although it's more difficult than indigos, through looking at their aura. Their aura is harder to see, but it's usually colored like an opal. Which I noticed. My niece is a crystal child. She's about 4 years old now. And I noticed that she had the biggest bright blue eyes I'd ever seen on like a living human before. And I sensed something really deep and timeless about her. And I had difficulty connecting to her aura, but when I saw it, it had that like crystalline, opalescent, beautiful rainbow colors in it. And it seemed to carry the energy of the stars. Like, it's hard to explain, but I could tell immediately that she's a traveler and she's not an earthbound spirit. And she is very beautifully gifted and intelligent and creative for her age. I think she's an Aquarius like me too. So I'm sure we'll get along when she gets older. Again, there's major differences between these two waves, although they are very synergistic and will communicate well. For instance, something like watching the news can be very upsetting to either an indigo or a crystal child. The difference is, as an indigo child myself, if you turn on the news and there's some fucked up shit going on, I'm going to feel anger and rebellion at this kind of behavior that I truly don't understand. And it gives me that sense of that warrior spirit, like wanting to fight all this fucked up shit that's going on in the world. Crystal children are going to be more vulnerable to this in the way that they experience deep sadness and grief when they witness the inhumanities of our people, and I truly believe that everybody in the world is our people, even the people that are what we might call despicable, violent people, cruel dictators, fundamentalists. They're still spiritually our brothers and sisters, and maybe misguided, maybe damaged, but are still part of this community we call Earth. So despite the fact that crystal children can seem emotionally almost undeveloped or overdeveloped, they really do have very old souls, and they have an understanding of peace and humanity that is wise beyond their years. And this really gets into their purpose on Earth. Being the healers and the rebuilders. They're kind of like the lovers of these waves. Like, they are, after the indigos have run rampant and caused all sort of craziness, the crystal children are here to take us into their arms and heal us after we go through a period which is undoubtedly going to be marked by difficulty and struggling. So, like they, and they will seem to know things that it's inexplicable how they know them or how they came to these conclusions, but they do have a deep understanding of life, not even just humanity, but life, spirituality, to the point that they have a group conscience. So I'm going to kind of finish off here with just an explanation of probably what everybody's been waiting to hear, the psychic functions of the crystal children. I've already touched on empathy and the fact that they're gifted, but these gifts are mostly flowing through the crown and third eye chakras, where indigos is the third eye and the throat, because they're very, even though they're rebellious and fighters, they're also communicators. Crystal children are going to embody almost all of the clairs, which is like, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairaudience. They're going to be deeply connected to the other side, or the spirit world, or the energy world, or God, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. I don't think any of us really know what's going on. But whatever it is, the crystal children have an even stronger connection to it than the indigo children, and they're supposed to exist partially on an even higher dimension than indigo children. With their empathic gifts and their artistic gifts, they have the potential to be very gifted Reiki masters, empaths, healers, artists, even counselors and therapists, or even like nurses and doctors. Like, crystal children are here to heal. That's really the most important thing, that if you take anything from this lecture, it's that they are healers, and they want to spread their beauty and love to those who are struggling. What's really cool, and I noticed this with a crystal child before, was their emotional sensitivity and healing gifts is so incredible. Like, I remember a friend's child actually ran away from us as we were at like a public park, and she sat down on a bench next to an older man who was far away, but he was crying, and we couldn't visibly, and my vision's fine, so is hers. We couldn't tell by looking that this guy was crying. And this little girl runs over and gives him a hug, and from a distance, you could tell that he was sad and that he needed healing. And it was simple. She just said something along the lines of like, "It's going to be okay. God loves you," that kind of thing. And this is an amazing moment for everybody involved. This is a man who had lost his wife after years of marriage to natural causes, and he was having trouble moving on from it. And I imagine that if I was in that situation, something as little as a child coming up to me and offering me, her emotional guidance and sharing some of that amazing crystal child like sense of humanity and emotional healing would be so powerful. And that's really a great example of what they're here to do. And I even start to feel kind of emotional like talking about this, especially like near the end of the video, because they truly give us hope that a lot of people, will say the world's ending or whatever, and that's a bunch of shit. Because like, why would we have these children, these messengers of love and healing, coming to an earth that's dying, unless it's to revitalize it and bring it new purpose and new life? So I don't know. They're awesome. We should all be pumped for it. If you are a parent of a crystal child or an early crystal child, there are struggles that are going to be involved in growing up, but your potential is amazing. And you have so much to give to the world. Your child might have so much to give to the world. And it's important that you focus on this potential. And teach or learn the language of love and the language of healing. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I hope you guys like this. I might do a 2 for tonight. I might do some Neptune. We'll see. I don't really have shit to do, so whatever happens, I might get lazy at the same time and not do it. So, you guys have a great evening, and give me some feedback. Let me know if there's something I could do more, something you want to see a video on. I'd also really like to get somebody or somebody's else doing videos too. I will have to view them myself, at least the first couple, just to make sure that you're not a crazy person, because we don't. That can be that can kind of muddy the waters a bit, you know. And to make sure that it's important to be based in your intuition, in your personal experience, but also in established teachings and facts, which is very important for me. I do go into my personal views, but most of what I'm giving you guys is stuff that I've learned from other people, other authors, writers, teachers, friends, you know. So, yeah, contact me, send me a personal message if you're interested. This is not my group. I started this group. This group is for anybody who wants it. And I don't want to steal the spotlight. I want to share it with you guys. So send me a personal message, and I love you guys and have a great evening.